All right, here we are again. It's Fadi Kudair with the Kanata on the Rocks, and we are joined today with Jenny CR.
Jenny CR.
How are you today, Jenny?
I'm good.
So, to give you guys a bit of a background, I've known Jenny for a little over 20 years, I think. A little bit, yeah. I think about 20 years or so.
Probably, yeah.
The first time we met, it was kind of hilarious, actually, and we were just kind of reminiscing about it here in the kitchen earlier. We were at the Lebanese festival, and I'm having shawarma of all food, hence why we live in Ottawa. And I made a mess out of myself, and Jenny just comes and she goes, "What is going on here? Why do you smell like a garlic factory?" or something like that. I can't remember exactly the saying, but I just died laughing. I'm like, who is this girl?
Sounds
and
right.
then Rana introduced us and like many other friends there. And we've been kind of, in and out of each other's life for the last 20 some years. And I ran into her recently and I wanted to just so badly bring her on the show and have you guys talk and get her to tell you a little bit more about the business and what they do. So Jenny is actually at Desjardins Insurance Agency and she owns a portion of the agency, if you will. And I'm going to get you to tell us a little bit more about the business.
Yeah.
And what do you do there? What does it deliver? All of that cool stuff.
Yeah, so, I mean, we deliver insurance, home, auto, life, commercial, and then vehicle finance, which is just an extension of the products that we offer. But that's not all we do. I think we're bigger than that. I think insurance is what we do, but who we are is, and why we do what we do is ultimately to help people, to protect their assets, to put them in the position, of a better, if something happens, to have their back, to give them that white glove service. We're in the business of asset protection. So whatever matters to you matters to us. So while insurance is what we sell, why we do what we do is because we care about people. We want to be number one in their hearts, and we want to just make sure that their families and their dreams and their ambitions, even after they pass, still happen, So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And with that being said, one thing that I kind of heard over the years, and obviously it's a phrase that I'm not really happy to say, but I'm going to say it anyways. I just want to see your reaction when you hear this. Insurance is a necessary evil.
Sure.
Tell me more about how you feel about that.
I mean, people are entitled to their opinions, but it's a thing that you wish you had when you didn't have it.
100%.
And it depends on how you look at it. I, being in the industry, will literally take insurance for everything because I appreciate the peace of mind that if anything happens, God forbid, I'm covered. And as long as you have a good person to support you through it, educate you, give you some necessary information, it shouldn't be an evil, right?
I think, and most of the time when I hear that, like the first thing that comes to mind is that insurance is more like a leveraged sort of hedging bet kind of thing, but you're leveraging that with a very small payment for something that might happen, might not happen. And if it does happen, well, fantastic, you have insurance.
Yep.
But if it doesn't happen, well, at least you bought that peace of mind and you're okay with it.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more. How did you get into it?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, I mean, I could date myself here, but I mean, I was 24 when I got into insurance. Long story short, I graduated from high school, moved to Toronto, thought I was going to be a hip hop dancer and learned very quick that it doesn't pay the bills. So I got a big girl job. I started working at the bank, kind of got my feet wet into the corporate world. And then I wanted to move back home. So I was ready to come back. My grandparents were getting older. They were not doing well. My siblings, my family's here. So I came back. I had a friend at the time who recommended that I work for Desjardins, and having been in the financial world, I was like, all right, cool, let's do it. I never thought I would be here, but I feel like there's always that one person who's in your corner. And I feel like as a female, you often, doubt your ability. And even though trying to be as authentic as you can be, you still end up in a box for some reason. But anyways, I started working at Desjardins and took all the experience that I had from my previous employer, and it kind of distinguished me from a lot of people. Fast forward 12 years later, I was recruited by multiple regional directors at Desjardins to open up my own agency. And at first I was like, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Like, why would I do that? But then it's scary, right? And I think that's the biggest part. It's ripping off the Band-Aid. You can do whatever you put your mind to, So I think I was recruited. I thought about it. I didn't believe it. And then there was one person specifically who's just like, you have all of these amazing qualities about you that you do put in a box, and you could leverage those to be an entrepreneur. And, I've always been really passionate about helping people. And so this just gives me a platform to do the things that I love, which is giving back. It's empowering women. it's encouraging myself and believing in myself. And so that's how I kind of got here. So,
and it's very impactful. Like from what you see, all of this, there's so much to unpack here.
Oh, 100%.
So much to unpack. So let's dial it back a little bit. And I just want to kind of get into the whole woman empowerment. Just tell me a little bit more about how you feel about that. Why is that so near and dear to your heart?
Yeah.
What comes to mind when you think about it?
Yeah. So I've been that girl who just invested my time and efforts in the wrong areas. And whether that be in relationships, in friendships, I was always waiting to be at a certain spot in my life to be married, to do the things that I wanted to do because I felt like that's what I had to do. I've always wished to be a mother. I've always wanted to be a wife. And I kind of put that before myself. We talked briefly about idolatry, and I feel that you can even idolize things like marriage, right? And so when you're putting those things in front of or before yourself, you kind of lose out on some of life's best moments, right?
So many things. And it's like you're always waiting for that something to happen, and you're totally forgetting about enjoying
life,
the now.
Right.
The moment.
Absolutely.
The learning experience that you're getting through it, and you know what you're kind of building, and the amount of character that you're adding to yourself. So when the time is right, you do it properly.
Right. Absolutely.
Very good. So just going to go back again to some of the things that you've really threw on me here, and I wanted to kind of understand, as an entrepreneur, what do you think the most impactful characteristics that you have that made you feel like this is an easy move for you?
Well, it wasn't an easy move, so I'm not going to lie and say I just woke up one day and I did it.
Yeah.
It was a process, but I was in a season of refinement and a season of self-awareness and a season of knowing who I was. And so, like I was saying before, in terms of putting my energy in other places, I stopped waiting. I stopped waiting for someone to help me get to where I wanted to be. And I was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
It's a mindset shift. Ultimately, you know, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this here, but the Bible says that the tongue has the power to acquit or acquire, right? Your tongue can either kill or give life. And so the more I started speaking life, the more things started opening for me.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about who you're talking to and how you're talking to other people. It's how you're talking about yourself.
100%. And it's like, I find the mind is kind of like this weird thing where like whatever you kind of put out there is what's going to stick out there.
Yeah.
And if you keep saying that I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, you're going to do it.
You're going to do it.
And this actually kind of like brings out the phrase that it's kind of one of my favorite phrases I've heard. I'm not really sure who quoted it. I don't know. So I'm just going to say it anyways. It's either one day or day one.
Right. That's good.
And from the sounds of it, it sounds like you decided to go with day one, and we're probably at, I don't know, day 55. I'm not really sure. Were you dating yourself? I mean, like what, the 3 years? It took you 3 years to get here?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So going back to that, again, I'm just trying to dig on some of the characteristics that you would think made you who you are today.
I mean, life happens. You know, I'm a little kid from the hood, man. Like, these dreams of being an entrepreneur, statistically, I shouldn't be here. I come from a single family household. I was kicked out when I was 13. I was, glory to God and thank you, Jesus, for my grandparents.
Because I was going to say, I think when I met you, you were living with your grandparents.
I still take care of my grandma today, who's my pride and joy, my reason for being, my raison d'être, as we say. So I think just life happens, and you have a choice in life to, you know, subject yourself to what everyone else thinks or what statistics say or believe that you should be, or you level up. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to stay in that cycle. You know, you have to break those generational curses, and you have a choice, you know? So I know people who sometimes get stuck in that place, you know, but there is better. And it's again, a mindset. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
So what would you tell those people that you're saying, like they might get stuck in that mindset? What would you tell them? What would Jennifer today tell them about the Jennifer 20 years ago?
Focus on you. And it's the neon light on my beautiful geometric wall in my new office. It's, you are your best investment. No one is going to care more than you. No one's going to have as much blood, sweat, and tears and investment into what you do. So focus on you. You can't
really,
control
yeah,
everything.
it's very true. Like, I mean, when you look at it, all of the business entrepreneurs, the owners of businesses and like massive multi-billionaires out there, a lot of them have gone through divorce, gone through separations, gone through like massive, some of them even like bankruptcies 3 or 4
100%.
times, but then they bounce back. And I find when you're focusing on yourself, the more you focus on yourself, that bounce back becomes really easy. It's like literally, like to me, the way I equate it is like picking up the weight and you're doing it so many times. You mess up one time, it doesn't mean that that's it. You're just going to go back and pick it up again and it's going to get better. And I think that's kind of resonating with me on that way.
The cool part about hitting rock bottom is there's only one way up.
Yeah, as long as you can look up, you can get up.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I think again, it's your mindset. What's your perspective on life? Is this, are you looking at it as, why is this happening to me? Or what is it that I'm trying to, what are you trying to teach me here in this moment?
Yeah.
And what do I need to do?
What lessons do I need to get for the next little bit to actually focus or get myself out of this rut that I just got into?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to go back and I want to kind of dissect your business a little bit more to understand some of the services that you guys are offering.
So, I mean, simply said, you're buying a home, you got a car, you're a new family, you call me and I take care of you. So home insurance, auto, life, commercial, so business, and vehicle finance. It's just so, in short, whatever you think you need from an insurance perspective, I take care of it. Unlike a broker, I'm exclusive to Desjardins. So there's no, negotiating the rates and stuff like that because number one, insurance is heavily regulated. And number two, I only work for Desjardins. So
makes sense. And just looking at the insurance and like some of the insurance policies I've heard about, what was the most interesting insurance policy you've ever put together? And you don't have to tell me names or anything like that.
No.
Just kind of
every day, hands down, all the time, life insurance. People don't think about it. People wait until they're too old. Unlike home and auto insurance, you qualify for life insurance. So not everyone can get life insurance. And, when you think about generational wealth, when you think about investments, there are some life products that are investments with a death benefit. When I think about universal life for experience, for those affluential clients who are trying to, shelter money, if you will, but also benefit from a death benefit. I don't know about you, and I'm sure that you've seen them, but those GoFundMe pages, they break my heart because people just didn't know and don't think it's important. And it always happens and people always get curious when it's someone close to them that they've lost because they didn't have life insurance or they didn't have critical life insurance or any type of living benefit or disability insurance. And it's just like, it's an afterthought. It's what we were talking about earlier. It's something that you wish you had but didn't take, but it's the peace of mind and maybe you never use it. And there's a multitude of products. So to try to justify, well, I can't afford it. I quoted somebody not too long ago, and it was literally $12.90 for a 20-year, $20,000 term. And it's not $20,000 policy. It's not a lot of money, but God forbid, if anything happens to you, your family is not burdened with, well, how do I bury this person? And they're awkward conversations to have, but like, we're grown now, you know what I mean?
They are. They're very ominous. Like when you're talking about things like that, it's like it's like a dark cloud.
Yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
And you did say a few things that are just, I'm going to kind of pick at it a little bit when you're talking about qualifying. What does that mean in insurance terms? Yeah.
So the long and the short is you call someone today and you ask for auto and home insurance. And if you decide that you like the price, you buy the policy. Life insurance requires, in some instances, a medical. So depending on your health, whether you smoke, whether you're overweight, to name a few, you may not be eligible or can't get insurance. And those are very minimal examples, but it's true, Or you might be rated, which means it's going to cost you more. So when I say you have to be eligible or you have to qualify, you're in most cases have to do some type of medical to say, well, A, you're not already sick, or B, you are someone that we want to risk, right? Because that's what it's all based off of, right? It's based off risk. Are you a good risk for us to take on? Which is why I always suggest that young families who are having children, get insurance on their children
It's
from
the
the
time.
time they're born.
Yeah, it's the time when you're healthy and young and you're able to pay for it and it's not too expensive. And because, like you said, the more you wait, the more it's going to get expensive because then your qualifications is like way higher up.
But you're also not promised tomorrow.
No.
People always think they have more time. And we need to be honest with ourselves. And I know it's a little bit morbid, but we're all going to die one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's the most constant I've ever heard is that no matter what, we all die.
Yeah. Look at the world right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Insane. Life is crazy.
The choice is yours, whether you want to die with glory or die without. It's all yours at the end of the day.
The way that I position it is, what type of inheritance and legacy are you leaving your loved ones?
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're single, right? There's still someone who's going to feel and grieve when you go.
Well, especially if you're like one of those people, like, I don't know, you know, we all have friends that are just like a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, even as a pain in the ass, you don't want to be a pain in the ass in your death too.
That's a good way to look at it.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Just going back to the start of the business,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about the setup. Where are you at? What location?
Yeah.
What sort of, you know, employment history you guys have? What sort of, who you're looking for when you're hiring? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So wait, there's a lot of questions there.
I know.
So
We'll go one
where
by
am
one.
I?
Where are you at?
I'm in the Prior, serving the Ottawa Valley. I'm in
yeah.
Arnprior. So 45
after
minutes.
seeing you can go to the Prior and
go
have
to
a
the
few
Prior.
drinks.
But
Okay.
guess what?
We're not suggesting drinking at anyone, by the way, just in case.
My motto is, we do business how you want to do business. So it doesn't matter where you are. We're licensed for Ontario. Our building might be in Arnprior, but we'll come to you. We're virtual now.
And it's anywhere in Ontario.
Anywhere in
only.
Ontario. Only Ontario.
Okay.
So I'm
Sorry,
licensed
Quebec
for
guys.
Ontario.
No.
Sorry. Well, yes, sorry for Quebec. But if you're coming to Ontario for a life insurance policy, as long as you're coming to sign in Ontario, I can offer life insurance.
Makes sense.
Not home and auto. Also very regulated. And Ontario insurance is much more expensive than Quebec insurance. So you don't want to come to Ontario. So
a lot more legislation that goes with that, I believe.
yeah. So most insurance companies in Quebec, they just insure the car or the home. But for the car, and specifically the bodily injury accident benefits, if you get injured, is through the government. Whereas in Ontario, it's all the insurance companies. So when we see those hikes in insurance rates, sometimes it's because of how many accidents are happening. So I'm in Arnprior. I have a team of 2. So Brianna and Christina.
Shout out, guys.
Shout out Brianna and Christina. They're licensed as well. So again, wherever you are, we'll help
Come to you or virtual, whichever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Business is easy with Jenny, guys.
Business is
easy.
I don't know about Jenny, maybe Jennifer, but
okay.
Jenny for you, just for you. But yeah, no. So 2 girls. And then in terms of what I look for, honestly, I can teach you about insurance. You know, you have to pass a licensing course to be able to sell insurance.
But what's the most important for you when you're hiring?
Are you coachable? Are you passionate? Are you a people person?
It's very important.
If you have a desire to help people, I'll teach you insurance.
Yeah. I mean, what if you're like one of those people that are just like really short with people and this and that? Is that something that you would want to?
What do you mean short?
You know, you just don't have a passion to talk to people in general. Does that work for you?
Then we just won't click.
Makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like, then there's no alignment, you know? And I'm huge on what can we do for you and how do we create an experience? I want to change the insurance game. I don't want it to be your traditional call, hang up. And some people, I get it. Some people, that's how they want to do business. That's cool. But you're going to know what you're getting and you're going to understand what you're getting. And we're going to have a conversation. And it would be a disservice for me to my clients not to inform them of everything that they have under one roof.
Mm-hmm.
And also having me, because I have an interest in you, especially in moments where you need insurance. I'm selling you the promise, right? That if God forbid anything happens, you're covered. Jay's got you covered, right? So I'm going to show up and I'm going to fight for you and I'm going to advocate for you. And that's the whole reason why I'm doing this.
And we've talked about also the type of people that you're hiring and bringing to the table. What type of clients are you looking for? What's your ideal client?
I mean, and everyone needs insurance. So I don't necessarily have like a quote unquote ideal client, but I gravitate to young families. I gravitate to them because they're so early on in their life, you know, like, and we can be on the journey together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not just going to sell you a policy and then it be one and done, merci, bye. I'm going to call you every couple of years. How's it going? How's Joey, James, and Billy? How's Walter the dog? Like that's important to me. And I look for that in my experiences with consumers or as a consumer as well. Like if I'm calling someone, like I need to be blown off my socks. Otherwise, don't ask me for a Google review.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I Googling reviewing you about? If that's even a proper English.
Oh, it's
it is
word,
today.
it
Googling
is word.
reviewing you. But like, there has to be a wow. And the beauty of client satisfaction is if you get a promoter, they're selling for you. So why wouldn't you want to create that wow experience so that they could then tell their friends? It's like free advertisement.
Yeah. And from the sounds of it, sounds like you guys are doing everything to create that wow experience with the client from, the handhold service, if you will, or like white glove service that you guys are delivering. With that being said, what do you think the most important aspect of insurance?
Understanding what you have and what you don't have.
That's a good one.
Right? There are exclusions. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like you might think that, I'm fully covered on all of this, but then something major happens. And
if I asked you right now about your home insurance or auto insurance, can you tell me what you're covered for?
I can tell you probably about 70%. It's been a while.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not easy. And there's so many jargon and all that. And we've taken that out. Like my staff, we're not using jargon. Because if I say to you AFP, TFO, you're going to be like, what?
No idea
If
what
I
that
say
is.
to you endorsement 16C, what are you talking about? We
You
don't
lost
talk like
me,
that.
2 seconds ago.
Yeah, we
Jenny.
don't even talk that. Like, let me explain to you what you're accepting and what you're declining. Because sometimes you're declining something and you're not even realizing that you've declined something that's pretty important. I'll give you a perfect example. You're a real estate agent. You use your car to go see houses, see clients, share whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have your car, how would you do business?
It would be very difficult. It would have to be like Uber or something. And, it would just
and that would cost
very
you money.
expensive. Yeah.
So there's a product that we offer, which is called the trouble-free option. And basically, it just means that in the event of a loss where you can't use the car, we'll put you in a rental and the insurance that you need for that rental, right? It also includes a $50 emergency service should you need it. But as a real estate agent, I know that that's really important for you. And so why would I let you leave my office and say, I don't need it because you want to save $70 for the year? Come on.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So know your people.
Well, especially when those $70 are really well worth it at that point, right? Like I got a client, I'm going out for a couple of showings, $2-3 million homes, like lost out on it. So that could be a very, very serious
100%
repercussion for sure.
Absolutely.
When you go back to before you started the business, what are some of the thoughts and fears that were going through your head?
Can I do it? What if I fail? What if I don't have money? What if my staff hates me? What if I'm not a good leader? Granted, I've had a ton of experience and my career in the corporate world was on a great trajectory. Like I was good. I was making 6 figures. I was chilling. I knew what I was getting every two weeks. I was good, So letting all that go, getting out of your comfort zone, that was scary. But fear is the thought of the enemy. And if you live in fear, you'll sit there for a long time. I know a lot of people who are just scared.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, the hardest part of entrepreneurship thus far, and granted, I haven't been here very long, but is ripping off the Band-Aid. Just do it.
It's just getting out there and actually doing it.
Just do it. Because how do you live knowing that you had this inside of you and you didn't try? Try and fail, right?
And I think at that point, like, if you don't do it, your regret is a lot more than if you would have done it.
100%.
Because the one thing that, this comes back to a lot of, some of the things that I've been reading about, like when you ask people when they're on their deathbed, what are some of the things that you regret? And it's always about the things that they've never done or they wanted to do so bad, but they just didn't do it. Like opening up a business or visiting that friend or, confessing to someone that they loved them and just kind of, doing the grand gesture or whatever. Not a big fan of that. But like, let's just say that was the case. Like, that's a lot of regrets. And I think what you're saying is that just get out there and do it.
Life is short.
Life is short.
Life is short. And having regrets is just a really crappy place to be in,
What are some of the ways that you as a business owner have prepared yourself for this?
You're not ever going to know it all. And you're always going to be learning. And I think where entrepreneurs fail is when they don't pivot. You have to know what's going on. You have to be relevant.
Can't be rigid.
You can't. And preparation, it's like, I'm an extreme planner. Like my previous role, I was in projects where there was a concrete start and a concrete finish. Planning is my ish.
Your
Organization,
forte. There you go.
That's my thing. I couldn't figure out how to do it all. And I still don't know how to do it all. There's still so much things that I want to do, and I just got to prioritize. But I think, in preparation for is you do what you can to best be prepared, but you're not going to know it all, and you're not going to be able to do it all. And it's an ongoing journey. It took me a long time to process that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And I've heard that a lot, but like that's real. Like it's part of my language. It's real shit.
Business. Yeah. It's 100%. It's real. Like every day is a journey. I feel every day is like, you know what? Whatever I did yesterday, I'm like maybe 50% on it. Today, I'm going to get 55%. Tomorrow I'm going to get 60%. And it's all in different aspects of the business.
Yeah.
In the marketing section, in the advertising section, in the prospecting, or whatever it is that you're doing, there's all those segments of the business, and each one, you don't have to do them all 100%. You just got to do a little bit here and there every day.
Or you hire people.
It's a good one.
When I hired my staff, I hired people who were a little bit more detail oriented than me because I know I'm a visionary and I just want to spit everything out and make it happen.
You do it.
Yeah. But hire people smarter than you. That's the only way you're going to evolve. You can't stay stagnant. And when you hire people, empower them. Trust them. You're entrusting them to do the job. And yeah, it might cost you some money because there might be some errors along the way.
Of course, yeah.
But empower them.
Especially if you're a perfectionist and you're hiring people, because obviously as a perfectionist, and this is one of I find like the biggest detriment to a lot of businesses, that when you're a perfectionist and you just want to do everything by yourself, it could be a little daunting for you because once you start hiring, you're not always going to be very happy with the results at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you have to trust in the process.
Amen.
And you got to trust in the fact that these people, just like you are learning, they're learning. But guess what? They're learning, and you're paying them a fraction of your own time.
Yep.
You're paying them money, but that's a fraction of your own time. You can spend that time somewhere else. That's more impactful to your business than the time that you're spending doing this little mini task.
Yeah, 100%. I say that all the time. My first week of business, I learned that if you're not making me money, you're costing me money.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And so be quick to see that, because it'll hinder not just your progress, but your team, the motivation, right?
It is. And the thing is with that, for me at least, like when I'm looking at my business and I'm like, just kind of looking at the holistic view with the people that I'm hiring or the folks that are helping me do the business, as long as it's not client impacting, that mistake can be resolved, no issues. Even if that mistake is big, if it's not client impacting, I really don't care. If it's not client facing, I really don't care. I'm going to get to it and I'm going to fix it and I'm going to, do a little bit better at it. But where I find it becomes a bit of an issue, and this is where you really have to kind of pick your battles when choosing the right people to hire, is if it's actually client impacting, if it's client facing and it's coming back and affecting your business negatively.
Absolutely.
Can you think of any situation where you would not want to hire somebody just because it might be client impacting? Or
well, I don't know about, because people put on a good face when they're interviewing, right? And I've made mistakes hiring, not my current team, but when I was on inside, because I was in leadership at Desjardins. You never know, but yeah, there are specific things that just don't jive, like a poor attitude or a defensive attitude. Like, yeah, people are going to mess up and it's going to cost you. Everything has a cost, but you got to give a little bit of grace, right? To let people grow and evolve and find their groove. But if I can't come to you and tell you like, bro, you messed up, right? You not receive it.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of self-awareness that everyone should have. Because I've had team members where it's like, they think they're like a solid 5, and I'm like, bro, but you're like a solid 2 for real. Like, I don't know where you're at, but
2 1/4 on a good day. Yeah.
So I think it's just, and it kind of comes back to you a little bit, because you have to know who you are and who you align with to hire the right people, to work with the right people, right? Even just like doing this interview, like if I didn't like you as a person, I would have been like, respectfully, no thanks, No. Because it does have an impact on your brand.
Does, yeah.
So
it totally affects your brand in all ways. With that being said, on the hiring front, what's an acceptable sort of time frame for you to figure out the hire that you just brought on
Well,
and how they are?
Yeah. So for me, everyone's on probation for at least 3 months, just so that I can assess. Because for me, I don't just measure quantitative, like what are you bringing me in, like from a sales perspective. I'm also looking at your behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's just some things that I can work with. Okay, maybe you're not like a top salesperson, but people love you. Right? And I think that being a salesperson is one thing, but like I always say that behaviors drive results.
100%.
Like I could have a sales guy on my team, but he's doing all types of weird stuff to get the sale. I need someone with integrity who's going to have good intentions, because I don't just want to sell n'importe quoi. Like I'm not selling a pair of shoes. Like I'm selling life insurance or property insurance, right?
It's not a necessarily commodity. You're selling something that's requiring a little bit more finessing.
Diligence and care,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think I was just reading this actually. There was a study done by the Harvard Business Review specifically about sales. And they stated that, in the 21st century, all sales are going to be relationship based.
100%.
Is that something that you agree with?
100%. So Simon Sinek, genius, love him, obsessed with him. Like if I ever met him, I would probably totally fangirl him, and I'm not that chick. But if I saw him, I'd be like, oh my God, just like hug me. He says he has a theory which I introduced to every new team member that I onboard, which is called the Golden Circle Theory. What, why, how. Everyone knows what you do. You can teach someone how to do it, but why they do what they do is completely different.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the why that really gets the people to buy from you.
Right. Because people believe in what you believe in, right? Simon Sinek references Martin Luther King, how 250,000 people showed up at the same time at the right place without Twitter or social media because they believed in what he believed in. Martin Luther King didn't have a plan. He had a dream. So people believed in why he was doing what he was doing. And so my philosophy is the same, which is why you said, what do you do? I sell insurance, but why I do it is so much bigger than what I'm doing.
The why is the biggest thing that literally it's the deciding factor for clients to do business with you or do business with someone else.
Yep.
Because that why tells them how much integrity you have and what you bring to the table and what the relationship is going to look like. It really dictates everything going forward.
Yeah, and I'm not the cheapest out in the insurance game, right? And like I said, insurance is heavily regulated. I can't just like slip in a discount. It's not really how it works. But I'll care more than everybody else, right? And I think that it's just like, that's what I try to sell, right? Is what's my value proposition. It is about relationships for me. Like I genuinely care about, which is why I always say to my team, like, it's a disservice not to tell people everything that we offer because we think they may not like it. Because I would hate for Mrs. Jim Joe, which is not a client, I don't know who that is, it's a made up name, comes into my office and says, my husband just passed away and I didn't even know that you sold life insurance. Bruh. Shattered. I'd be gutted. Like, I'll quit. You know what I mean? So I teach my team the same thing. Like, it's important. And I don't play with that. Like, it really, and it's not about the
and it
sale.
really goes back to the relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have that really solid relationship with the client and you're able to get the client to talk about their life, and rightfully so, you do that by like probing, by asking the question, by actually caring about the client.
Yeah.
The client is going to pour their heart out to you and tell you exactly what and how they need to be served.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can put a plan together and say, well, yeah, I know you really want that life insurance and you really want this and you really want that. Let's put a plan together because I know the finances are a little tight.
Yep.
Or maybe we can look at something that's going to give you some of the coverage for now and then maybe switch that later.
Yeah, yeah. And there's, like I said, there's a product for everybody. And we do a thorough financial needs analysis. So yeah, we get to know each other pretty good. So
is there a situation where like you really have to pump the brakes on a client's decision, or like you really just said like no, I'm not doing this. Like this is something that's completely going to put you at a disservice or disadvantage?
I mean, yes and no. In the insurance industry, it's kind of tricky, but like if I think about something specific is like groundwater coverage. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's expensive, I don't need it. Yeah, but it's also like the most common insurance claim in the industry is water damage to your basement.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who works in restoration, and I know it costs like $20,000 just to clean it up. So when you tell me you just want $10K, I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want you to know.
Believe me, when I go to those houses and I see those messes, it's like nobody wants to put an offer on it because it's damaged, and they don't know the damage and how much it is, and then the inspection is going to tell you that it's going to be a lot worse and this and that. So like, yeah,
and when I ask clients, like, two of the questions regarding claims when you're purchasing a new home is, to your awareness, do you know if there's been water damage here? Not you, have you made a claim? No, has this house had water damage, right? But all that to say, and to ask your questions, like, yeah, sometimes they say no, but I just document the file, like, proposed $100K and he wanted 10, because insurance, auto, and home, it's by law, like, you need it. So I can't necessarily like refuse you, but at the same time, I could tell you, like, no, I don't like that, and I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's you're in control of that. You decide what coverages you want or don't want, and I'm not going to press that on you. I'm going to educate you and inform you, but at the end of the day, you're going to make the decision. I'm putting you in the driver's seat, right? But I'm going to inform you and educate you. So I can never not say no unless there's like a straight up decline because of an underwriting situation. But I'm definitely going to tell you what you're declining.
So the point of the story, and I'm just trying to sum this up a little bit as far as what you were saying. Insurance is really a product that everybody needs.
Everyone needs it.
What you need and how much you need is really up to your actual wants and needs based on your lifestyle or whatever you're doing. With that being said, it's very important for you to understand what's covered, what's not, and what plans do you have for the things that are not covered.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah. And I mean, get an agent who's going to explain that to you, right? I'm not saying that there's no one that just sells to sell, but if you don't understand, talk to your insurance person. Call them, find an insurance agent. Heck, call me. Like, we don't need to do business together to get a second opinion, but inform yourself, because a lot of people are chilling right now and don't have the right amount of coverage.
And one thing that really like just kind of hit home for me is like the why. The why you got into the business is what makes you as a business very attractive to me to do business with. In fact, most of my clients go to the Desjardins anyways. Like, that's just because of the way that they serve their clients and things like that. With that being said, when Jenny leaves here today, for whatever reason, is there anything that you would wish that people are watching here heard about you and about the business that we want to share?
That's a good question. I actually don't even know that I have an answer. But,
like 20 minutes later, you're like, I should have said that.
Yeah, probably going to happen. I don't know. Like, what do I hope people know about how I do business?
Or you, or insurance in general.
Yeah, like, I'm a consumer just like you, So I pride myself on being informative and detailed. And I have a certain expectation of my team. I don't expect perfection, but I do expect excellence. And that's what you can expect from the moment that you walk into the door, or call or email. Right. I always say, no matter where you call in, click in, or walk in, the experience should be seamless.
Yeah.
Right. And we'll service you how you want to do business, whether that's over email, whether that's through our app, whether that's in person, you want us to go to your home, whatever, we'll do that. So, I think that when you're choosing to do business with people, just know who you're getting into business with. And I think that that's ultimately what I would just sell is like, or not even sell, I hate to use that word. But what I would say about myself is just like, I have a genuine interest in seeing people better off. And it matters to me that people are educated and well protected.
Do you ever get in a situation where like you meet the client, you talk about everything, and you're like, genuinely, there's zero interest or zero need for any type of insurance?
No.
There's always something.
There's always something. It's just what, right? And people aren't generally like, people are very, like, insurance is very like price driven. Right? Like, loyalty and insurance, not often. As soon as prices increase,
don't go hand in hand, no.
They're like, bye, you know? But they often come back because something happens. And that's the difference with dealing with an agent, right? And dealing with my agency specifically. It's like, that's what you can expect every time. We're going to pick up the phone. You're going to talk to somebody that you know and someone who knows you, who you've had lengthy conversations about. So I think that's the ultimate differentiator. But
so the business owners that are watching us and tuning into the show, what would you say for them to, as a business advice, but also to come on the show?
To come on this show?
Yeah.
It's a Free advertisement, man.
Fantastic. And it's really, all we're trying to do is show people around Ottawa what Ottawa's all about, what the businesses in Ottawa are all about. What do they bring to the table? Why do you want to do business in Ottawa? Why do you want to expand in this place? And why do you want to live here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love Ottawa. I lived in Toronto.
Something interesting today, and I'm so excited about it. I was just listening to Shea 106 this morning, and I'm not doing advertising for Shea 106, but I was listening to them, and Ottawa just made the top 10 list for most exciting cities to party in.
Yeah, big time.
Big time.
I don't know about
We don't
that,
get that. Everybody says it's boring, but Montreal didn't make it.
Shut up.
I was.
What is this?
I don't know.
Where is this?
I was listening to it this morning.
I
It's so
mean,
weird.
it depends what you're into. Me, like the whole club party thing is not my vibe, but
No, that was
Ottawa
back in
has
the day, but
great places to eat. People are nice. It's affordable. You know, great to raise a family. It's in between two major cities. And people who say it's boring, like, what are you going to do about it?
I mean,
Like, what are you going to do
it
about
is a
it?
bit more conservative city,
100%.
but
But what are you like? What are you trying to like? What do you want to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me, if I find a problem, I'm going to find a solution.
yeah.
So if I think Ottawa's boring because there's no lounges or no whatever, like maybe that's my next business endeavor. You know what I mean? Like who knows? But what are you going to do about it?
And I dare them all to follow the guys at Ottawa's Boring on Instagram. Fantastic. I love them. Perfect.
It's an
It's an
Instagram
Instagram
page.
handle, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Really, really good. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it, letting all of those people know about your company, Desjardins, knowing about the way that we set up here, and also bringing a lot of things that I didn't know about insurance. Really appreciate it for our folks that are watching. With that being said, I invite you guys to like and click and hit the subscribe button so you can get all of those different interviews that we have. And any questions that you have, hit us up. I will also forward you Jennifer's information. If you're interested, let us know. Thanks again, Jennifer. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good day.